Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week we got Ricky and Dre on from the MMG Group, and we got Eric Martin on, KC Tint Works himself. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We got to make sure you're just as talkative as you have been the whole entire time before this started. So we told you that it's no different after the cameras are on.
I like it.
But on the podcast, a lot of times in the beginning, we talked a lot about marketing, and that was kind of boring. So our podcast now runs very much in like going over your story, going over business, going over really kind of your journey. That's where most people find a lot of interest. People find that entrepreneur's head, what drove you from the beginning. So I want to rewind and start at the very beginning of your story. You pick where you want to start.
Well, I guess we can start in high school. I went to work for a company called Artistic Tint in 1990. So if we worked at the tint shop, we had to work at Little Caesars next door too, which we all
What a
did.
deal.
Yeah, right.
Pizza and tint.
Right.
Did you at least get free pizza?
Well, yeah, I made it. We got a free one way or
We
another,
lost
right?
some dough today.
Right, right. So no, started doing it my junior year of high school, 1990, graduated in 91, and truly never thought that I was going to continue doing it. It was just something that I guess I fed into. It was easy.
I think there's a lot of times I think that high school, college time is where a lot of people feel very lost. They feel that, I know it was one of those things that was probably the most lost time of my life, that when you're at that point, I feel like the outside world is looking at you like you're supposed to understand everything, that you're supposed to know what you want to do. And that's the question that everyone asks you every single time you see something. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. I look at myself in the morning and ask the same question.
Right.
So when you were tinting in high school, did you go on to college? What did that look like when you came out of college or out of high school?
No, I did not go to college. I moved out before I graduated my senior year and realized that if I wasn't going to go to college, I had to figure something out. So like I say, I was tinting windows, working at Little Caesars, and then still mowing and doing all kinds of other things.
Oh, mowing on the side too.
Yeah, just to get by.
Pizza, mowing, and tint.
Yep.
Trifecta.
Yep.
I don't think any of those three things have anything to do with each other.
No, they don't. But you got to eat, right?
Yeah.
And I love the tinting side of things.
You got to have fresh grass.
Yeah, I grew into the tinting side of things, actually. And then I worked for a company for a couple of years, then took off on my own in 96.
So 96, you decide, okay, I'm just gonna roll out my own tint shop.
Yep.
So you say, hey, it's go time. What was it at that point that made you say, hey, it's time that I go do this myself?
I mean, I was kind of doing it my own, out of my garage and everything with other jobs. So I wasn't, just leaning on just the window tinting money. I just felt like I could see myself tinting windows for 4 or 5 hours a day, making X dollar amount, or going to work for 8 or 10 hours a day at another job for half of that dollar amount. And I felt like then it was very lucrative. So I just focused everything on window tint. I mean, I literally started my shop with a $100 roll of window film.
Yeah. I think a lot of times I know I had a misconception when I was in the car space. Mm-hmm. I didn't think big enough of what actual everything cost.
Correct. That
I thought like, hey, that spot up at the top that's the cool spot to be at.
Right.
And I didn't know what our dad bared on his shoulders all the time. That never made it down line to us.
Right.
And I think that was one thing that's in the car business was kind of rough, was I never knew that. So I don't think I was coming from the right position always towards him.
Right.
And I've tried to make it very clear to everyone of where our kind of stance is of what things look like, to where that's a more clear kind of image for them.
Right.
Bits and pieces. And
Yeah,
it's like the same thing our dad did was you get bits and pieces of like what needs to be relevant to that individual.
Right.
So the same thing like with Dane. Dane makes whatever those bits and pieces are relevant to those individuals so they can be fixed to move the whole shit forward.
Correct.
But it's also helping those people further themselves. That I talk about it all the time within our office. Like, my main job is to make sure no one ever sees the end of the runway.
Correct. I mean, you've talked about that. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
It's kind of a unique spot. But when you get into, so when you roll out as your own company, what was that like vision when you came out of the gate? Like, I know it's like sometimes when I started this, I thought I was like, this is gonna be easy. And,
Well, as you know, when we're younger, we're cocky.
yeah,
You know, I did it honestly up until 2002. I had my own gig out of the house, and I obviously worked for another tent shop as well still. But until my daughter was born is when I bought my first building on North Oak, across from the big Olympic car course. So yeah, I was her mom was in labor, all kidding aside, and it was like 36 hours, and I said, I got to go tint some windows. I'll be back. So I went home, tinted some windows, came back, and then we had my daughter. But
You're going to have to wait till I get back.
yeah, right. But there was a cop that lived next door, and I literally had 12 cars. The first Saturday she came home, I had 12 cars lined up the side of the street, and he called on me and turned me in. So the next day I went and bought a building.
What a
it's
rat.
Just, you know, I mean, it's just like,
yeah.
you got to do what you got to do. And now
Yeah.
you got a kid involved, right?
And that's something that I can't speak on behalf of that.
Right.
And we were actually discussing it today at the office that I've had a lot of individuals, and like we've been given a golden opportunity that we have crazy successful business owners sit on here every single
Sure,
week,
absolutely.
people with all this knowledge that we get to learn from. And every single one of them has said that the most motivating thing that will ever happen to you in your life is having a child.
Correct.
And I'm like, if that's the case, when the MMG crew starts having kids, you better watch the fuck out.
No, absolutely. No,
Because it's like,
it's for real.
the path that we're on now, like, there's no kids involved.
Well, and you're supporting you and your spouses or, you know, fiancés, girlfriends, whatever. You put a child in the mix, you know how you still want to live, right? Well, now you're adding a baby to that.
Which, what I was talking, we
Which
were
is
talking about
amazing.
today, which is like crazy on, and I may be totally just off base on this, but just the way I kind of think is like when you play a long game and like you're thinking in the future, I feel what a child does is make it to where you think outside of your lifetime.
Absolutely.
I think most of the time people think like, I look at to the end of my life.
Right.
And I think when all of a sudden there's a child involved, now all of a sudden your vision and your term becomes longer.
Well, because now you're working towards not only to better your life, but what are you going to leave your kids?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want their life to be as great as possible.
So when you first started in 96 to getting your building, what would you say the biggest kind of, I don't know, issue or things like that you ran into as being like, I know a lot of times business owners get in, they don't understand taxes. They don't understand all these different things that kind of come with it. What would you say your biggest kind of hurdle was in the beginning?
Honestly, back then, cash was king. You know, I've got the same accountant now that I did, now that I did then. So, but I always had something else that was drawing a paycheck.
Yeah.
Okay. So anybody, I mean, I was running this out of my house. They'd come, it was all cash. But I looked at it as like, I don't want to work for anybody. So, I mean, technically I could say I've been self-employed all my life, minus a couple little, spots. But it was just, to me, I picked it up. I knew I was fast. I was good. So when you start, seeing how many vehicles you can do in a day or how many houses you can do or buildings, it just made it easy to make that decision.
And I think that there's a lot of people out there that I have a lot of people around me that don't want to work for someone.
Sure.
And it's like, I feel that you have entrepreneurs and you have entrepreneurs, and there's a art to how it all works as one.
Right.
And I think a lot of people have a taste in their mouth if they don't want to work for certain individuals. But I look at some people that I know that are in very, very, very successful companies, and they've been uber successful,
Right.
and they get to have this crazy life and everything because it worked as a team, that the whole thing went there.
Correct.
So I think sometimes that's hard, and I have to kind of catch myself sometimes that I'm not always like pushing people as like, oh, everyone do their own thing. Like everyone do their own thing, because I know a lot of people have went out and that their own thing is not for them.
Right. Absolutely.
That it comes with a stress level that most people don't understand.
Right.
That it was something I didn't understand.
It's tough.
Like-
it can be tough.
It can be real tough. So when you go out and you get your first building,
Right.
you have a daughter now, you get a building. I feel like overnight everything changes really fast.
It does. I mean,
How was that next week?
You know, working, getting off 2 a.m, being back at the shop at 7 a.m.
Well,
for about 10 years straight.
10 years. So
I mean, she doesn't remember. Obviously, she was young, but I mean, I worked. Her mom stayed home with her, and you know, I paid for everything, took care of it all, as you should.
Yeah. So when you get into the building, was it just like turnkey and it's just rocking and rolling, or was it like?
So it was the old Progressive Audio Mobile Effects building across from the Olympic Car Wash on North Oak. The guy I had been working doing, I was their first window tinter in 1990 also, and he had just ran it in the ground, doing nothing with it. And I said, hey man, as soon as, you know, I got kicked out of the house as far as not being able to work, I went to him and said, I'm ready to do this. So he let me have it. So it was a turnkey stereo shop. Was there a radio on the wall? No. Was there any business going on? No. So I had to start from scratch.
So did you offer more services than just tint when you
Yes.
started
we
that?
did car audio, video, alarms, remote starts. All the import accessories were huge back then in the early 2000s. So we did all that.
That's when Pimp My Ride was on.
Yep.
That was a big
R.I.P.
scene.
We built plenty of Eclipses and all that for sure.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh yeah.
I missed that stage. Missed
Yep.
it. Just
Yeah.
a little bit too far behind.
Desperately.
Right. Yeah, you were still in diapers.
Yeah, probably.
You were in diapers.
I was out of diapers.
Yeah, you were 3 or 4 by then.
Yeah, but so you get into the car audio side. Did that deem being a lot different than the tint side, or was it pretty much still just order as service, like, or as wanted?
Car audio back then, you stocked everything, you know, so I obviously had to go to the warehouse, bring it all in. Because car audio was big back then. 97 to 05, car audio was huge. You know, people were still dropping 15, 20 grand, wanting to compete in sound competitions and all that.
Better times, man. That was fun.
They were great times, you know.
They weren't getting that money back out of that car.
No. And, you know, you'd put all that money into a, you know, CRX was a big car back then to do sound systems just because of the way it carried, you know, the music. And, you know, Derek Thomas was a great customer of ours back in the day before he was killed. I had one of his cars actually when he died at my shop. So, you know, there was a lot of money back then. Easy money, I guess you'd say.
So you get into now inventorying everything. Is this, when you get the shop, is it still just you, or are you hiring people in? Or?
There's one other guy, me and one other guy. And it was an old man named Jack that had been with this company since like 85.
I feel like we need
Did he come with the
an old man named Jack.
Dude, I'm telling you, this guy
Health
from
insurance
Richmond,
goes
Missouri.
up with that.
Oh my God, I could tell you some I won't get into the stories. I could tell you some stories, but we'll leave it off the podcast. But he was great. The guy could do anything. But it came to a point in time, and I just got rid of him 6 years ago.
How old was this old man Jack? Because you hired him when he was old man Jack.
Was he always old man Jack?
Yeah, you know, and it was a sad circumstance why I got rid of him. But I bet Jack was 62 when I got rid of him. He could still probably build the best sub enclosure, best set of door panels you could ever ask for. But he just wouldn't take care of himself.
Yeah.
So time to go.
We have like a whole company that's under the age of 30, so we don't have we can have old man Dalton. He's 30, so
He's 30.
Grandpa Dalton at the office.
Hey, you know what? I'm called
We
Grandpa.
have an old man Dalton at the office.
Right?
He's that from now on.
But that's what makes it exciting. I mean, honestly, all kidding aside, I've been into your place twice. The energy level is crazy. You know?
I don't want to go somewhere where I don't want to go. So
Right.
I look at it as we're blaring music in there all the time. Like I look at it as like work should be fun. Like I don't know where that was like lost. Like we watched these TV shows growing up. Like you look at Pimp My Ride, you look at The Fantasy Factory, look at all these shows you watched on MTV. Like that's what we grew up watching. Like that's what work was supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And then you grow up and it's like, fuck you. You're going to sit at this cubicle and you're going to sit on a computer all day. Don't talk to the person next to you.
Right.
You got time in at this time. You time out this time. Like, that's not life.
Right.
Like, and I don't know, like, I feel like business has gotten so turned into like spreadsheets and this, like, this is what the bottom line is that.
I mean, those are still needed.
Yeah, that's Dre's department. I just spend the money. So,
Right? It's still
We
needed.
know that.
But it's like, you look at all these things that take place in a company that what builds the culture, what makes like,
Right.
we look at this new office space and I'm like, we're going for it. And Dre's like, we don't have the other office space figured out. I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, we're getting this one. I was like, this is what MMG needs. And he's like, but we need to get the lease figured out on the other one. I was like, yeah, we'll figure that out. I was like, whatever. I'm like, but it's just that drive forward all the time.
Absolutely.
And it's like, and there's some people that are going to say, oh, that's not the right way to do it. That's great. They may have their own way to do it.
Right. Correct.
But it's like you being at a position that you're like, okay, I have to find a location. I have to do these things. Like, this is what it takes to, it comes to a spot that a company is bigger than yourself.
Right.
And I think a lot of business owners never figure that out. And once you figure out that that operates separately than you, that whatever it takes to push that forward, and everyone's going to say like, well, you have to have the finances to do it. Yeah, I went and found the finances to do it.
Right.
There was a point that MMG was about to go under. Like a year and a half in, was I a great business owner? Absolutely not. I thought I was an entrepreneur. I was like, oh, I'm good at this stuff. And I'm like, all I was good at was losing fucking money.
At one point, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm pretty decent with numbers. And I'm like, and the math ain't mathing.
Yeah, Dre's sitting there. He's like, dude, I don't know how you actually how you were doing that. And what no one knew was I went and pulled a $150,000 line out against my house to fund everything. But it was like,
You got to do what you got to do.
At that point, I was like, it's either going to work or it's not. We're going to figure it out.
Right.
And I think that those are the hard points in time that I came to other pivotal moments that we needed to grow.
Sure.
I didn't have the finances. I went and found investors.
Right.
And it's like, we're going to make it happen. But it's just like, you look at those things that, and a lot of times when I needed the money, it was, I needed to grow the culture. I needed to grow the environment. I needed to grow like what MMG was.
Right.
And most of the time, if you can't, certain investors like looked at it and they're like, we're not giving you money for that.
Right.
And then I had certain people that they're like, we know what you're building. Go for it.
Right. Well, if they don't see the energy, you're probably not going to get any help, but you carry a lot of energy. I mean, your focus is definitely on growing. And that's where my downfall probably was.
I'm going to think, like, I don't know, what energy drinks we drink in there. Grill of mine? What?
All of them.
We have 10 cases delivered a week. So
Every energy drink besides Rockstar.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But that's the same thing. It's like, I also look at, that's a part of business, which I think that's great when it comes to employment side, things like that. You still have to have a product and service.
Sure.
And there was a reason when we got our space, like my last space, I didn't have windows to tint. Like, but it was like,
Sure.
I hit you up immediately. I came in, I was like, am I going to negotiate price? Absolutely not. Like, people I'm friends with, I do not negotiate price. Like, I'm really not somebody that negotiates price. If I don't see the value in it, I'm not going to sit there and knock you on it. It's like, I'm just going to go somewhere else. Like,
Right. Absolutely.
That's how just I operate. People are like, on vehicles, it's the same way. Like, I'm not going to sit there and beat somebody up on price, and everyone's like, you need to negotiate. I'm like, if they don't put their best foot forward and I don't see the value in it, then it's a waste of time.
Right. Go somewhere else.
You come in, I was like, I know you're going to do it right. I don't know. I didn't have to babysit you doing it. You came in, you're like, hey, this is what you need. I was like, great, go for it. But it's like, that's being an expert in your space. That's being good, having a good service and a good product. So you get in this space, you're in the audio side, you're still running the tint. Is the audio kind of taken over on a higher side than the tint, or is tint still just as heavy?
Tint's still just as heavy. Back then, tint was super heavy. It's a little weak now, just in the automotive world because of the car industry. Residential and commercial is taking over as far as my.
When did that, like, I feel like that's like a newer thing.
It's been 15 years. Residential,
not
commercial.
that new.
Maybe I'm just that young that way. I didn't have a house.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've been doing this for 34 years, so yeah. But no, the automotive world was it forever. And there was always, because obviously our spaces were done, our buildings were tinted, when I worked for other people. But it wasn't something people focused on, it doesn't seem like, especially on the residential side.
Do you think it was that, or do you think that the market's more saturated now than it's ever been?
I can tell you in the last 3 or 4 years, everybody that thinks they can tint windows works out of their garage.
I don't disagree.
It's miserable. You got to have a product. You got to have knowledge.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I say I fail, but I don't fail because I'm the one that goes and bids the work, and then I'm the one that goes and does the work.
Yeah.
Yes. Should I have 5 other people doing it? Yes. But window tinting is a thing that you have to know what you're doing to put it. I mean, I know it looks easy.
Yeah.
Obviously, for as long as I've been doing it, but it's not that easy.
I'm just thinking, like, with and we talk in a lot of different industries where a lot of people get in this like kind of race to the bottom, that when you get a bunch of saturation, most people, like when we came into the marketing space, we never came in wanting to be the cheap person in the room.
You don't want to be.
When we started, I was like, how about we become the most expensive?
Absolutely.
And we have people come in all the time. They're like, well, you guys are 3 times more expensive than so-and-so. I was like, I wouldn't even say what they're doing and what we're doing is even close to the same thing. Like, I mean, you can buy a Ford Fusion and a Ferrari. They both get you to point A to point B.
They're both going to drive and run.
But it's like, that's the difference in like service, that we pride ourselves on communication. You go to that other company, they're going to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's the only time you're contacting them. You want to contact somebody from MMG, we have people sitting here working on computers as we're doing this at 8 o'clock at night.
Right.
Well, I think it was 10:40 Wednesday. I had a guy reach out. He's like, hey, man, I know it's late. I'm laying in bed. I literally pull out my phone. And I probably talked to him for 30 minutes. But it's like, if I can handle that at that point, that problem, tomorrow, that individual stews on something for 9 hours.
Correct.
Or you can solve it right then and you just sell the issue.
And you look at that as over a whole work week.
Right.
And we have 20 people that are all doing that it's like nothing escalates with our company.
As it shouldn't.
And it's like because of our communication level, but it's like, once again, that's why you're going to pay a premium. You're going to pay a premium to be able to call me on a Saturday.
Right. But you're also going to do that, but you also got to have great people, and their better halves have got to be great too. Because I can be honest with you,
100%.
I've lost a lot of relationships because I deal with shit 24/7.
Yeah.
Because nobody goes, well, can't you just take a weekend off? No, because I'm, no.
Yeah. I will say last week in Mexico was the first time I've really disconnected like well.
I know you ignored my messages.
I did not. I did not disconnect
I think
well.
he's lying. I think he's lying right now. I'm going to pull him up.
I think Logan and I would be talking in the morning. I'm like, man, we got this is going on. I'm like,
And actually, it might have been on your
take care of
bachelor
it.
party. It actually, you might have been in and out of the hospital at that point. That
Yeah,
might
you
been
could have
that
caught
week.
me on the hospital.
Yeah.
Sounds like an excuse.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just because you're trying to die doesn't mean
You
you can't
said,
respond.
yeah, it was the bachelor party when I was almost
I
done.
figured it was.
No, we were square when I went to Cabo.
Yeah, no, we were. Yeah, we were.
No,
No,
so
get him. It sounds like he came up with an excuse not to reply.
yeah, no, but it's one of those things that like how people run and operate business is a crucial part of, I think, that network, and I think that name that you make for yourself.
Sure.
And I have a lot of friends. You're Tint and Sal's house
Right.
the week before you're down at my office, and
Right.
all like before you're doing all these different things. But it's like you have that network of people that are like, okay, I'm calling him because I know the job's going to be done right the first time. This is who I'm going with. But do you still do a lot of auto now, or is it pretty much more commercial, residential? Like,
So I will still tint auto. I've got a guy in my shop that does my automotive, but I'm trying to focus on doing nothing but residential and commercial.
yeah. So what? I know most people don't even understand like the benefit of, which I'm
Do
some.
you?
No, I don't.
He's one of them.
No, he was trying to explain it to me at the office. I'm like, I don't
Sounds
care.
great.
I'm trying to make it look cool.
Right.
We're saving energy.
Yeah,
And that's the problem. It's not a problem, but
Yeah.
some people just want the aesthetics, right? Make it
that's
look
what I was
good.
looking for. Yeah,
But anytime you tint, no matter what I put on a commercial building or a home, it blocks out all the ultraviolet rays, 99.8%, right? And it just depends on what film you put on is how much heat rejection it gives you, how much glare rejection it gives you. It's all part of going green. I mean, it's actually a huge benefit.
I mean, I've been
a
doing
huge
good. I got the
Don't even-
D-Max.
don't
The
even-
D-Max
yeah,
is
you
really,
won't get a sunburn in your truck. You're
Yeah,
right.
the D-Max is running strong, going green. The golf cart is electric, so I mean,
We have solar panels.
yeah, the new
Oh,
office
yeah.
has solar
We have
panels.
solar-
We're going green.
And that
Green, man.
and give
That's
I'm gonna give
Your
credit
bill-
to the last guy.
but give
the
your
guy that owns
bill
it.
to Tony and I'll write it accordingly. But the material part of that is energy efficiency.
I was planning on giving him all my
Oh, I
bills,
know.
so
I
I
give
give
him
him
all mine, too.
everything. So.
I print them off every year.
He hates us, I promise you.
But no, I think he loves me. He definitely loves me.
Just because we pay him, but
Yeah.
yes, he hates us for real.
Yeah.
We have been to a concert with him before, and I
Oh
did
my
see
God.
Tony with a chair above his head.
Oh my God, Tony's a mess.
But so you have auto, residential, commercial. What would you say right now is like the heaviest? Like, because I feel like the auto is a huge race to the bottom. Because I know most of the marketing side that I've seen auto-wise is about how cheap their price is.
Yep, and I won't be cheap.
And there's different types of film people can put on.
But I won't put, okay, so that you've got film that's guaranteed for a year, 3 years, 5 years, lifetime, whatever. I won't install anything that's not a lifetime warranted film. And 2 of my manufacturers I've used since 1990.
That's before I was born.
Right. But you get a lot of these guys that have been in business a year or 2 that put on this cheap stuff and they want to warranty it. Well, you call them back 2 years later when it's purple or red or whatever, and they won't warranty it.
Well, my F-150 I was telling you about over there, the tint, the main reason I didn't drive it after I put it up was the tint is like this ombre, like kind of brown.
If you roll the window
and
down
I can
about
tell you,
2 inches.
I can almost tell you where it came from, tint-wise, but I know the manufacturer.
Is it Windex? They say you can't use like Windex or what?
You're not supposed to use anything with ammonia, right? That's an old myth that we told people starting in 89 on up. Film is made a lot better now, but ammonia does break down the hard coat and the clear on them.
So is that like...
I'd still tell people not to. I tell people to use aerosol cans. Anything in an aerosol can is ammonia free. Microfiber aerosol can.
They say you learn one new thing a day.
Yeah. Normally Dre has some off the wall fact for you, but
I think we get along pretty good. I got some good facts.
We'll be all right.
Yeah. So what would you say from getting your shop? There was a lot of things that happened in between there.
Absolutely.
So I feel like we kind of jumped forward into the tint game. But what did kind of evolution of growing after getting that first shop look like? You're doing audio. What did that evolution kind of look like through, do I call it mid 2000s? Like what would the terminology be from like 05 to 2015 area?
Well, yeah. So, from 02 when I bought that building, right? I think I had it 10 years. And it was, it was a nice 3-bay building and everything, right? I moved 2 blocks literally up North Oak and bought the old Enterprise building and redid it because I saw a vision that I wanted more parking lot, more secure parking, gates everywhere. And we grew that. And window tinting's always been the mainstay. I mean, the rest of the stuff is just an added. I've always had installers that can do remote starts, audio, video, security, all that. Window tint's always been the number one. It was just an added bonus for all the car dealers, which we still do a lot of work for.
So when you went up, because you went to the big building up there.
So I was in Oakview, across from the Olympic. Then I bought the Enterprise building. Because I didn't own the Olympic building. I owned the business.
Okay.
So that's why I finally got out of there and bought my first building.
Okay.
Which was the old Enterprise building, just 2 blocks up. Had it for 5 years. Struck a deal on the old Harley Davidson building. Okay. I had it for 10 years.
Okay.
That's what I remember.
Yeah. Which I incorporated Number 9 Saloon in, which was a bar of ours. And honestly, I probably would have stayed there. I had a vision on the old Harley Davidson building of my shop, because of all what we did. I wanted to do a custom shop with like rat rods, stuff like that. And I was supposed to have a tattoo shop in it, and then we had the bar. Well, Gladstone wasn't going to allow the tattoo shop with the bar in it. So we just ended up doing the bar.
Because it increased your revenue so much.
Right. So we just did my shop and the bar. And when then COVID hit, actually about 4 months before COVID, I shut the bar down, which was probably the best decision I ever made.
Yeah. So you've been tinting. I feel like that's a vertical that you're killing it and you're making it happen. And then you want to get in the bar scene.
So that was the second bar. I was a partner in Tanner's in Platte City for years before that. And I guess we can back up because obviously where Boyan's at now, that was all mine. I started Truck Toys.
Gotcha. Okay.
Me and Alan Shepard started that. And then I got with Boyan. He came up. He wanted to put his car side in. So we let him put his car side in. Obviously, I carry a dealer's license as well, just, something to have. And then he got with John Brown and took over the truck side.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's been a lot of
other entities along the way.
But window tinting is still number one.
Who's Boyan? Who's John Brown? Just for everyone listening.
They're mutual friends.
Yeah, so Boyan obviously owns A&S. And then John Brown used to own KC Customs. Now owns Truck Toys.
No, I obviously know who it is. I'm just saying, someone listening is going.
I started that whole deal up there. And then I didn't, I wanted, as anybody knows, partners are tough, right? Once I got out of Tanner's in Platte City, I didn't want a partner in the other deal either. So we sold it off, and I went back to owning all my stuff.
So when you get into the bar business, like our dad was in the bar business too.
Absolutely.
Like
my favorite spot. Growing up.
And it was something that he actually closed it down 6 months before I turned 21.
Smart move.
I actually never got to have a beer in Dirk's. Never got to have a drink whatsoever in Dirk's.
Hey, we can go to Thirsty Bull anytime you want to have one because it hadn't changed much.
Once they closed down, our Nana, we went in there and she's like, you can have any liquor that's on the bar.
I tried to buy that from her many times.
It's every alcohol's on there. I'm like,
know her well.
Yeah, so
not fair.
It was something that at 20 years old, I'm in college and I'm like, I'm going to have the biggest 21st birthday party anybody's ever seen. I am going to run Dirk's. And I'm like, I'm going to be behind the bar. I'm like, it's going to be crazy. And 6 months before, my dad's like, hey, we're closing Dirk's down. I go, come again? I was like, how about we wait like, I don't know, 7 months. Let's do it in 7. And he's like, no, it's done. And it was one of those things that he said it was something that he really enjoyed, but he goes, I've never enjoyed a business so much, but he goes, I've never hated a business so much.
Right.
And he goes, the perks of it are cool. And he goes, the downside of it's just as full as the upside.
There's more problems with the bar than you can imagine.
Yeah.
It's tough. Because you got, obviously it's a huge cash-based business. Back then, it is not now. So you got to worry about people stealing. If you got a cover charge, you got to worry about how many people are really getting charged, or if you're even seeing the money. Then you got your bartenders and your servers stealing.
Yeah. And it was one of those things I know that my dad did well in the bar business because he also had a great staff that he had the same 2 cooks there for
ever
20, what he had 26 years.
Yeah, ever.
And they cooked phenomenal.
Their food was great. And honestly, I'll tell you right now, the food up there, again, is good.
Yeah.
That's, my daughter's been in it. So we frequent that place because it's close to home.
Yeah. And it was crazy that I think that was something that I respected a lot of, something that my dad had built there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
With employees that, Regina had been there too for 26 years. And it was like, he had this whole staff of people that had been there forever that just had this like respect level to be there. And it was everyone that came in knew who they were, respected who they were. And it was, when he closed it down, he helped every one of them find new jobs. That he knew people at Ford that he went to the cooks and he goes, I can get you guys on making more money at Ford if you want. Sure. And one of the cooks back there, Calvin, was like, you know what, man, I'm going to take off for a while.
He was awesome.
He goes, I have money aside. He goes, I'm going to go enjoy my life for a little bit.
I don't think Calvin had a mean bone in his body. No. And even since we were 4 or 5 of what I can remember, we'd go back there as little kids and he would
eat bacon and stuff.
Yeah, he would sit there. He's like, what do you want? And
yeah, absolutely.
Same thing is from Calvin to Regina to everyone there. Like we came in there since we were babies.
Oh, for sure.
And they treat us like family, and it was a family. But that's how they built that place. Was it's like anyone that came in there, customers were going in there for since almost the day they were open. That's like you'd walk in, everyone knows everyone, and it was a different feeling when you went in there.
Absolutely, and that's what you're building your model off of now. I see it. I'm an outsider, but
my dad's talked about his retirement dream is to reopen Dirk's.
You have to get it from Chuck.
Now, he wants it in a different spot.
Okay, I would say Chuck's doing a great job.
No, he'd want it in a different spot, but he said he's like one day he goes, my dream would be to reopen that place and but
I'm gonna do another one.
Yeah. It's so
I also know a guy that wants to do one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do another one. It might be at the lake. It might be a 5-month seasonal deal, which is great.
So when did you start going to the Ozarks? So you go down to the Lake of the Ozarks a lot, don't you?
Yeah. Tori, how old were you? 7 or 8 when I bought my first boat.
Yeah. So what was the enticement of the boating space down there?
Very good friend of mine, Gary Don. Her and her husband, Rick. Rick was one of my best friends at the time. They finally talked me into it because I worked 7 days a week. I didn't miss work to go have fun. You know what I mean? And I went down with them a couple times, and that's all it took. And I bought a boat, and here we are, about 8 boats later.
It's pretty funny. When I was in the car business, I come out of college and I was like, do you know, I was like, there's nobody that outworks me. I was like, you know what? I was like, I will not be outworked tonight. Like, I traded my life off for work, like, immediately.
I think you've had that mindset until like 4 months ago.
But I'm saying, like, I was like that person that I was like, there's no shot that anyone could outwork me. And when I met Boyan, actually, like, I'll say that he has probably been one of the biggest like people to like kind of change that a little bit.
Sure.
That I remember, I'd been friends with him for 2 or 3 years. We go, he has a place up at Lake Viking. We're up at Lake Viking, and everyone comes up for Memorial Weekend. I work Friday. I drive in Friday night. Madison and Amber had already been up there. Boyan took off work that day, so he's up there all day with them. I come in like Friday night after like 8, 9 o'clock. I get in from the dealership. Everyone's having a blast at the house, and I'm like, I'm not drinking. I got to be up early to get back to the dealership. I got to be back there by 8:30 in the morning. So I get up in the morning, I drive back to the dealership. They're out on the boat all day. And Boyan is like the only car dealer that you will meet on the planet that's not open on Saturdays.
He used to be.
He used to be, but it's
and
funny.
I used to be too.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years for me.
So it's funny when I'm up there, I show back up at like 11 o'clock Saturday night because Saturdays would be busy. We'd be papering deals and stuff. And I show back up Sunday, hang out with everyone. Monday, I get up in the morning, drive back to the dealership, work all day, come back in Monday night. And then Boyan was saying something. He goes, yeah, if a customer comes in and it's a minute past 6, I tell them they have to come back tomorrow. And he's like, and he goes, I'm not open on Saturdays. And I was like, dude, you're crazy. I was like, what is your problem? I'm like, do you not want it that bad? Like everything. He was like, Memorial Weekend. He goes, how much would you have paid to be there Saturday and Monday? I was like, anything. He goes, then why would you go work for it?
Right.
He goes, you went and traded off your time for it. And he goes, you would have paid anything to be there all day.
But we've all been there. You
And-
just happen to be on the younger side of things.
Yeah. So it was like, it was kind of cool to pass somebody at like that point in my life that helped me open my eyes to something like
Absolutely.
that it's like, you still have to have those finer things. You still have to have those times that you go enjoy the people that you're around, that those things are way more valuable than any amount of money that you can make.
Right.
That now it's like, when I own my time, I own my time.
And it's taken me a long time to figure that out. Way too long, to be honest with you. I passed up a lot of good times to be had to make money.
Yeah. But it's a good thing that you found the lake when you did. It was a good thing. That,
absolutely.
Because I think that there's a lot of people I'm around, and I think that you're somebody that operates very similar, that like you have these, like when you have that work ethic, I can say that Dre and Ricky and Dalton, Logan, like everyone that's sitting here is the same way. That if there's not something that's going to pull us away from it,
Right.
we're going to keep driving further into it.
Well, and like me now, still there'll be days that I had it last week. I worked an 18-hour day at my shop because I had a bunch of paint protection. I installed that Expel clear paint protection on vehicles. Had to wrap a roof, had to do this, had to do that. But I will do that long day here and there to make sure nothing takes away from my weekend, or even having a long weekend, taking Friday, Saturday, Sunday off.
Yeah.
I'll put 50 hours in 4 days. I still don't have a problem doing that.
Yeah. And I think putting in the work ethic, like I always thought if I didn't work weekends, it was like going to question my like work ethic.
I thought the same thing for a long time.
And it was like, I started.
Well, I think it also, that's how we grew up.
Yeah.
So we saw that in the dealership.
You saw that with your
11
dad. I mean, just saw it in everything.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, our whole life, because it's like our dad would operate Monday through Friday and then essentially work all weekend of getting us to the racetrack,
Absolutely.
taking care of us all weekend, and then driving back in, getting maybe an hour or two of sleep, if any,
Right.
going straight back to work. So it's like we operate you just work 7 days a week. So he's like, this is what you should expect.
Absolutely.
So then we go into the dealership. We work 6 days a week, clean cars
Monday through
In the
Thursday,
evenings. Yeah.
8 to
Evenings.
midnight.
Yeah.
when we're able to get off.
Right.
As a dealership,
Sure.
you can
You
get
never
off
know.
at 7 or
Right.
midnight.
Right.
And then Sunday we clean the place. So I remember that when Dane started Moss Marketing Group, we come on, I think it's like Thursday. He's like, yeah, we're done for the week. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, we have
We
4
couldn't
days
figure out,
till-
like, what to
I'm
do
like,
with
we have
ourselves,
4
right?
days till Monday. He's like, yeah, we ain't got nothing to do. I'm like, he's like, you want to go golf tomorrow? I'm like, yeah. And I tell my fiance, I'm like, yeah, we're going to go golf. She's like, what? I'm like, I'm going to go golf on a Friday. She's like, that's not a thing. I'm like, well, tea time's at 7:30, so it is a thing.
But no, I mean, I totally get that. And so her mom took her out of Kansas City when she was 3. So I would literally, and that was obviously in 2005. I would put 50, 60 hours in and leave Friday morning and drive to Geneseo, Illinois, halfway to Michigan, pick her up, come home, spend the weekend, take her right back on Sunday, dude. I mean, so yeah, I know the whole work ethic.
And it's one of those things that I feel that work ethic is a gift and a curse all in one.
I wasn't taught anything, I can promise you, from my family. I mean, I didn't get any of that.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that Dre and I were very fortunate.
You are.
With our dad on what he taught us.
I remember a lot that you don't remember, because I was around when you guys were little. But
it's like he taught us a lot.
Sure, absolutely.
And he taught us a lot of really great things, but he also taught us certain things not to do. Like,
sure.
He also never treated us as kids.
Yeah.
He always treated us as like, he took us to those business meetings. He's like, these are my kids. And he's like, you sit over there. And he's like, you don't say anything.
Right.
But you sit there and like, you watch how these people operate. But then at the age of 12, we could go sit there and actually talk to individuals and hold a conversation.
Right.
Which a lot of 12-year-olds now can't.
No, and she missed out on all that. She's always taught, Dad, I want to take your business over. I said, well, when I'm done, my business might be done. You know what I mean? Now, because she's just now getting home. But no, your dad did right.
Yeah. Very, very, very thankful for all that. But her not being there for that, if you could give her one word of advice if she was there at that time, what would it be?
That's tough.
That's a loaded question.
That's tough.
Pistols.
Yeah. No, just use your head. I mean, I could be sitting in a totally different space right now. I had the means to go and buy the land and do all this stuff and be sitting pretty. But, and I didn't have any fun until I was 38 years old. I can tell you that. I mean, I worked nonstop. It's about probably the time me and Boyan are running hard together.
It seems like Boyan ends up running a lot of people, then you start having fun.
I met him when he was, I don't even think he was quite 21 yet.
20, I told Boyan it's a good thing that we crossed paths when we did and we met a little bit later.
Right.
Because if him and I would have crossed paths about 3-4 years earlier, that would have been bad news. Yeah.
We had a lot of great times. I will never, there's nothing bad to be said there. But yeah, it was time to slow down.
Yeah.
So use your head.
Yeah. She's smart. Kid's way smarter than I am. I might have, she might be book smart versus I was just street smart.
Which I think that there was something to that. Our dad had the street smarts. Like,
right.
He understood business.
Your dad grew up the right way,
And then he taught us all that, and then we acquired the book smart side with it.
Right.
That I was like, it made for the perfect recipe to like go after business.
Oh, for sure. Because you're, in who says I'm not going to keep pursuing? Because I'm not a quitter. You know what I mean? This is my life, so I've got to keep going, right? And I'll keep looking forward, or pushing forward. But yeah, you can definitely tell that your dad instilled what he instilled in you guys, and that's why you're where you're at today.
Yeah.
People can only help you so much.
For sure.
You got to be able to step up and take off.
Which I think that's a lot of times too. I think that our dad always instilled in us that you have to continuously learn. You have to be better. You have to keep pushing, that there's no complacency anywhere. That like the second you let complacency sit in, he's like, that's where you stop growing. He's like, his biggest pet peeve in the world is like when people say they're the best at something.
I will never say I'm the
best.
He
goes, you will find somebody fucking better than you out there. He's like, no matter what.
The only person the best at something is Bezos, and that's selling stuff.
Well, and you know what?
That dude sells more stuff than anyone I know.
No, but there's always somebody that's got something bigger. I've had one of the biggest powerboats on the Lake of the Ozark. That don't mean shit.
Yeah.
I don't care. It was fun. It was great. But there's always somebody bigger and better. I mean, you just got to get in where you fit in and
get in where you fit in.
Some dude has an 850-foot yacht out in the ocean.
But
you're like, I can get better.
I know somebody that better have a 100-foot one here soon.
We're getting there. We're on the right path.
So we go to Florida and all that usually every year in December for my birthday, and WeatherTech, which I know you know the name from floor mats and floor liners. About a $60 million yacht sitting out there in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. So
I think they're
For
doing
making
okay.
floor mats. Yeah.
A lot of floor mats.
A lot of them.
a lot
Just
of
a few. Just
Right?
a few.
And I'm not, phone cup, they got that cup holder and floor mats. Now they got dog dishes and stuff,
So I think that, we talked about it today in the office that a lot of times when people don't know where they're going, it's really hard to get there.
Sure.
And the crazy thing is, like, why Mass and I have, like, gotten along so well, like, is in the beginning when I'd say stuff, people thought it was crazy. People
Which
were like,
everything is a little bit of crazy.
if you're not saying stuff that's a little bit crazy, then you're not thinking big enough.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And we were sitting in Cabo, and, like, we're sitting there, and, like, we're at a nice resort. We're doing our thing, and I'm watching this 150-foot yacht stroll by. Why not me? Why not MMG?
Absolutely.
And, like, most people that WeatherTech guy at some point was probably rocking out floor mats and selling probably 20 pairs a week, maybe.
Now he's selling 200,000 pairs a week.
Yeah. So, but it's like at that point, nobody can think that big into the future. Nobody can think at that level. And it's like, what do Madison and I, what did we do that whole our wedding week? What did we do that whole morning for an hour? I calculated what we needed to do as a company to put ourselves on that yacht.
Right.
That's like, people think that's crazy. And it's like,
and vision.
The great thing is you'll have 10 times the amount of haters that say you can't do it. We started this podcast, they're like, you shouldn't have a podcast. They give anybody a fucking podcast. Yeah, you know what? You're fucking right. You can go buy some cameras. You start your own goddamn podcast.
Right.
Yeah, you put it on YouTube. That's public. Yeah. Anyone can have YouTube. It's nothing, but it's like that not everyone can do.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't mean that the next person is going to go start a podcast.
What's the percentage of how many make it over 8 episodes?
Not very many.
Dude, it was like, there's like 30.
Great stat. Great stat.
It was like, it was something that there was 300,000 like podcasts out there.
Yeah.
And there was less than 10% of them
I will guarantee you.
have over 8 episodes.
Wow.
Like it was I think that number might have been lower than 10%.
I think it was somewhere between 5 and 10.
Yeah, but it was like a pretty low, like single digit number.
I don't want to be the one to say it, but it sounds like we're an anomaly.
But what I'm saying is just like that consistency, that going after, that going and doing it, right. Setting those goals, setting those, like we talk about in the office every single day. And it's like, I said today on a story driving into work, I was like, I feel like a broken record a lot of times. But it's if you are not looking at what your future looks like at 12 months, there's no way for you to get there.
Right. Absolutely.
And I feel like that's what is held inside of business owners, that they don't help other people see that.
Right. And that's what I told her, all kidding aside. I don't know, it's been a year and a half ago since I probably told her that. She was dating a young man from Michigan State. And I'm like, babe, there's no motivation there. He's not going to be your guy. Well, last August, she came to me and said, Dad, I'm moving home. I got rid of him, and you're right, he's not my guy. Because I don't want my daughter sitting stale.
Yeah.
I don't sit stale.
Yeah.
And if I do, it's my own fault right now.
I literally struggle sitting like 24 hours stale. Like there's some people that
I have a problem sitting for an hour on a podcast.
Exactly. He checked his watch.
I'm not. I'm just kidding.
3 times.
I'm that guy to stand up.
Yeah.
I will stand up all day. I leave my house at 6:15 in the morning, and sometimes I don't get home until 10 o'clock at night, and I've never sat down except to drive there.
Sometimes I sit down. I got a bad hip. My hip hurts a little bit. Sometimes.
I will
what
say-
happens with that extra weight you've put on over the years. There you go.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
This is healthy, guys.
Yeah.
Get it out. Is this
No.
therapy session?
Yeah, it seems like it.
I'm 52 and about 200.
220.
I'm 29, about 260.
Yeah.
27, 220.
Ricky, I'm in with your weight.
27, 205.
Yeah, I can tell he's lean. He's got us all beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also.
This one goes to the gym for 2 hours a day. She ain't nothing.
Good for you.
Oh, she loves it. I got to get her out of the gym. She used to be big. She was like a linebacker. I said, babe, stop. I told her, I said, you already got broad shoulders. Stop it. Quit. You're never going to get a guy.
You know, it sounded like that
She
was
picks
going
up the little guy.
super sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a little guy?
Oh, Drake? Drake's, yeah. He's a little dude. I mean, he's ripped too, but he's 170 pounds.
Put him on blast.
Right?
Get him on the podcast. It's not like this is going to be on the internet forever.
Tell him,
We'll get a
Drake
reel on
Cole,
that one.
get off the video games. He's been
Yeah.
on there for 8 hours today.
Yeah.
Hey,
No,
man, there's a lot of money in video games. I'm just saying.
He ain't making it. He's spending it.
yeah. Hey, I'm gonna say I'm the best spender in the office when it comes to money.
You know what? I don't disagree.
You got to spend money to make money.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I look at it as
Like 70% of the money he does makes money. 30% I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know how to classify what actually makes money and what doesn't. But as long as there's just more money always coming in
than what you're spending.
Which I feel like there's a mindset to this, and like Mass and I get in like big arguments about it, which we've always done very well, like on a personal level.
Sure.
But we've also lived like very, very well within our means. That we've never went crazy extravagant. Like we have 2 cars and a house.
Right.
That's been our bills. Like correlating to the amount of money that I made in the car business, what she makes in real estate, we've always lived very far.
Sure.
We've always looked at living off 20 to 25% of what we make. And everything else, like we invest money, we do all these different things. But she is like the one that will look over like every single bill and try to find like how to save $5. I look at how to go make $100 more. I will never even think about like I like to keep about 3 gym memberships all the time, just in case I end up somewhere else I need to go to the gym.
So when doing taxes,
even though he didn't go to the gym,
I do go to the gym.
He does go to the gym.
I do go to the gym all the time. I guarantee. Minus Ricky, like I guarantee, Ricky's pretty fucking strong. But like, I've always been like really fucking strong. I've always like enjoyed going to the gym. I just need to kind of probably tweak what I do in the gym a little bit. To
that
slim
15
down
minutes
a bit.
cardio that we're like no one needs to
I
do
put
it.
1 mile on a treadmill.
Yeah,
come on.
But
Get your heart rate higher while you're lifting. You don't need to do that.
it's just I look at it
So
as
Ricky
there's
tells
like
me.
2 mindsets that you can go into business with. That I know a lot of really successful business owners that are just they hunt all day every day. They don't look at. That's where you have the visionary and you have the integrator. Like the book Rocket Fuel talks about like all these companies, these big, huge. You look at Walt Disney, you look at Henry Ford, you look at all these different people. Like Dre's the integrator of Moss Marketing. I'm the visionary that I'm going to run in that wall full speed every single day.
Sure.
I'm going to find more money for us. Closing accounts, doing whatever it is.
Right. See, I don't have him.
Like
I'm the one that just goes and does it nonstop, and I'm that guy that never checks my checkbook.
I'm pretty much
I
at
know
the point
what
with
I'm
him,
doing.
and I told him, I was like, I only want to hear about this is if we go down.
Right.
Like, if we're hitting every single month and it goes up, I don't want to hear about it. I'm like, we'll just keep rocking and rolling.
Right.
I was like, it makes it to where I feel like I catch that momentum and the train moves faster and faster.
So
and
he
faster.
does that,
Absolutely.
and then he's like, that means I can spend more. I'm like, no, we're doing good at where we're spending. I'm like,
Yeah, but you know what's cool about, and I've only seen this on a few of your podcasts, but what you do for your people, and that's what keeps good people in house.
Well, that's what makes a company.
It is.
Like, I think too many people think that they have some building or they have physical items that make a company.
That doesn't mean shit.
And then there's a lot of these, like, I'm going to say CEO founders or something like that, that they are the company. And it's like, your company is everyone. Any
Takes
company is
everybody.
everybody.
Right.
And it's like, we have a lot of core values at MMG, and one of our core values is 300. And at the beginning, Dre brought it up the first meeting, and I was like, we had a leadership meeting, and Dre says 300. I'm like, that's not going to be one of our core values. And then after we talked about it more, it's like,
he actually said that's stupid.
I look at it as like, you rise as one, you fall as one.
Absolutely.
Like, no matter what. Like, when I pulled out money against my house, it wasn't going to be for like, oh, Dane's going to go see if he can win with this. Everyone that was at MMG at the point, I'm like, guys, we're going to either run this thing full speed to the bottom of the ocean or we're going to take it to the moon, one of the two.
Right.
I was like, I'll just throw the money out to make it happen. But it's like, we make it happen.
It takes all of you. There's no doubt.
That if what Dre does every day, onboarding accounts, handling all the finances, doing all that, he makes sure the health insurance is right, all these different things. I don't want to fuck with that.
Well, you offer more benefits to your people than most big corporations.
That's also how you're going to go take those people that are big
Absolutely.
corporations.
Absolutely.
That those big corporations don't understand that the only people that me personally that I want to be around are A players. If you're not an A player, I don't even really want to be around you.
Right.
Like, not in a bad way, but it's like,
Right.
you ain't an A player. I don't want to hang out with you
It's
every day
negative
on the walls.
energy.
We built this huge fucking ship to take it across the ocean. If I have somebody come over here that I don't feel is an A player,
Right.
why would I put them on my ship to try to get it there?
But it also helps when you have a bunch of A players in the room. Everyone's trying to beat everyone. So it gravitates
too.
Friendly competition
Absolutely.
to keep pushing everything forward and then pushing everything forward fast.
100%.
But I think it all comes down to take care of people. And we do the same thing when it comes to clients. Like, the crazy thing is people think that most of the time my head runs in like a finance position. That's actually the one thing I never actually really think about.
That's what my head runs in.
Dre gets a jack for that. I literally think about every single day is like when I'm in the office, like I want that office right for the people that work there.
Absolutely. And you can tell that. I mean,
I want that office right for people that come in there. I want the music on. Like you can ask them. I'm a stickler about the music in the place.
I will say when you leave, Bree turns it up double, and then I'm like, you can shut your door.
but
You're
you know
still
what?
here.
That's awesome. Though, you know, and I put my phone on mute when I went in there and was doing all the windows today because I know you guys are all working, but I didn't want my phone blowing up all day, which it would have done, and it did.
Which, to be fair, when you like came in, we had our conference calls. Wednesday mornings are a little different. We have conference calls in the morning. We have coaching call, things like that. But it's like once the music turns on, though, it's like at the old office, like I wanted the music on. I didn't want to sit there in silence.
Right.
Like I want the environment that's right. I want that like
live.
Yeah,
You know?
it's energy. Like
Absolutely.
I had my high school football coach on here. Dude has been very dominant everywhere he has coached. And one of his biggest takeaways, he goes, I have to bring the energy every single time I show up. And he did that. Like the energy of the football team that he ran was different.
Right.
There's a reason that he takes football teams one after another to state championships. But it's the guy's energy does not waver.
Right.
That no matter what happens within my walls, what's going on with me personally, that office relies on me being an energy wave that comes in the morning. Did you bet your ass it's fucking coming?
Right.
See, that's why I didn't tell anyone you went to the hospital.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, man.
No, I get it.
Owner
I get
is
it. And you can see it,
100%.
dude. Like I said, I've only been there twice. Yeah, I've known you guys for a long time, but we've never, interacted like that.
Yeah.
But you can totally see it when you walk in that office
But
with everybody.
and I see it a lot of times in just like business owners in general. Like I see that you have a very high level of passion, energy, everything that you do. And it's like, I saw it when you came in, we're going over the garage doors and you're trying to like tell me all the benefits and everything that I'm like,
Talking over your head.
yeah. I'm like, you're like,
Is it
you
going to
know,
look cool from the outside?
yeah.
That's all he gave
I'm
a
like,
shit
does
about.
it look smoked
Then he
outside?
asked
He's
me,
like,
is there a flat film? I'm going, well, this isn't wrap. This is window tint.
I was like, could it be more flat? And he's like, this is 10. I was like, so that's a no. But I was like,
What about mirrored?
yeah, I was like,
No, and
yeah.
he didn't want that. It would have gotten mirrored.
Yeah, he goes,
See,
Typically, it would have gotten mirrored.
See, that's what I told Dan. I'm like, are we
So
doing
I
mirrored?
had
He's
to-
like, no.
No,
I
he
was like,
wanted smoke, so that's
Yeah,
what
I
he
want
got.
people to be able to see my truck parked inside.
Well, if he'd clean it, it'd be worth seeing.
yeah, shit's dirty all the
I
time.
will say, our dad came in. He's like, Dan needs to keep his truck clean. This thing looks pretty
Absolutely.
dirty. I'm like, yeah.
All of you, anybody that's got Moss Marketing needs to be clean. I mean, clearly, they're all black vehicles.
That's why I pay $50 a month for
right.
car membership to go wash it every day.
I feel like I'm getting dogged on pretty hard on my own podcast here.
It's all right.
Hey, you're doing good. Get back to it.
Yeah,
done
Dane's
well.
got a dirty
You've done
truck.
well.
Yeah, we all know.
I've seen it twice today.
Yeah.
Still dirty.
And you even said something about it earlier.
I did. You thought he would have washed it before I saw it again.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to shoot this one back on Sal. Sal, you need to get the Liberty Better Car Wash opened up.
where's that thing at?
Yeah, let's target this straight at Sal. I want this kind
Yeah.
as a reel here, and I want this targeted
There's
at
no
Sal.
Better Wash location in Liberty.
Yeah, Better Wash location is being built right now. Sal, I need a direct ETA when that's going to be done.
Right.
Collab with Sal.
Need an update.
Yeah, need an update ASAP.
Let's protest. Dane's not washing his truck
until
until
it's
it's
done.
open.
That's,
Love it.
that's
Love
an
it.
expensive vehicle not to wash.
I don't. Yeah,
So
I don't,
dirt
Get traded in
protects
here in
it,
about
right?
6 months anyway, so.
yeah.
Is it 6?
Well, it's already
When's
May.
August?
That's 4 months.
4 months. It'll be
About 4.
That's actually 3 months. It's already May.
We're putting an order in for 9 new Raptors.
You told me you were going to do that. That's awesome.
So
It's
Trying
awesome.
to get
a
in.
lot of black Raptors running around.
I know you have an F-250, but
A black Raptor with gold wheels with
it'll
the
be
gold crown in the back.
smoother.
Not scared.
Yeah. We didn't get a no.
Oh,
don't
she
know if it
knows.
was
I spend more money on cars.
You could
I'm
get
just
one
as bad
for
as you.
her.
I only got about 12 of them sitting in my
You
house.
could get one for her. Yeah. You could get one for her.
Now we're talking.
I'll just give her the Tesla.
Yeah.
She'll take the Plaid.
What would, if you could go give one entrepreneur, business owner, a word of advice?
Don't give up. Keep looking forward.
I like that.
mean,
I think Alex
it's
Ramosi
simple.
says it's really just the first person that quits is actually the loser.
Absolutely. I mean, I had plenty of opportunities to quit
I,
and
I,
be nothing. but
they arise a lot. that I think there's more opportunities to quit. The high side, I think most people think that entrepreneurship or having a company is going to be filled with these like all these highs,
Right.
which your highs are actually a lot smaller.
Absolutely.
It's more of just all these challenges that you take on week over week over week. You might fight 3.5 weeks to get that half a week that you get that high.
Right.
So I've worked really hard on making sure that the leadership team at MMG, they get to experience all of it. I'm like, hey, yeah, this is what we're fucking dealing with right now.
It's all good, all bad sometimes.
But
that high feels pretty good.
It does.
You can tell when Dane's on his high. He'll come in, he's like, dude, I'm like, Dane's having a good day.
But I mean, honestly, I can say that all the times I've seen him out, there's nothing negative. He's always.
Oh, he'll never show it.
On top, yeah.
He never shows high.
And I try not to. You come into my shop sometimes if I got 100 things going on because I feel like I'm dealing with it all. Like I say, once again, I've put myself in that own position instead of doing what like you guys are doing, spreading it out, getting the right team.
Which I'm going to say that I became better and better and better at it. It's something that I always keep a hand on. Is how do I become better at that emotional control? That it's, once again, if you're going to bring the energy, if you're going to be that person that shows up every single day, if you're going to be that person to a whole group of people that you're going to lead, that you're supposed to be that one that they look to. And I can't be a hypocrite and talk to them about emotional control, and I'm the one that falls apart all the time.
Right.
And it's like, it's the same reason when we started a marketing company, why we acquire all of our work doing socializing, doing it the same way that we do for clients. Like, marketing companies don't do that. They're built up a 60% sales team.
Right.
Like, that's pretty fucking hypocritical. Like,
absolutely. So
it's like every single thing that I ask of anyone in our office, within our walls, the clients we work, is nothing that I wouldn't do myself. To where it's like, I live by that every single day, that people know if I asked them to do something, I would do it.
Absolutely.
And it's something I always working to get better at, 100%.
Sure.
There's a lot of CEOs and founders and owners and things out there that are 1,000 times better than I am.
And doing nothing. You're still striving to be better.
But it's like, there's guys that are light years ahead of me that are still striving to get better. To where it's like, you're chasing some, I look as like getting in an arena every day. Like I'm weirdly obsessed with like Greek mythology, things like that. Like, I look at like humans don't operate like they used to. Like, I look at it used to be this fight of like survival and like winning and like competition, that it's like, get up and get in the arena every day. And it's like, I want people to be terrified if they have to step in the arena with me.
Right.
Because of the game I bring every single day. But it's like, in the beginning, that I always viewed as just me getting into that arena. And now it's, I look at like stepping into an arena with an army around me.
Absolutely. As you should.
And now it's like, now I feel like that the 300 ran as unison, all coming in. There was no one person that ran in front.
Right.
To where it's like, they work smarter. And it's like, now Grant, did they end up going down? Yes.
I mean, 300 took down tens of thousands.
But it was,
those are good numbers.
But it's no fights too big, nothing like
right.
And it's always pushing forward. It's always driving forward. No matter what that fight is, every single day. I have become more and more and more and more confident in what I do as a business owner because of these people.
That's what I was going to say, because everybody around you.
I think it makes him run more fearless.
But that's great.
He literally throws himself in things. He's like, man, we got that. Mm-hmm. I just did the same thing. I just did
no ice.
Straight just spit all that.
Jeez.
Wow. Keep you on here for an hour. You and Dre are all fucked up. Can't even drink. Ricky's like, I'm good as I'm sober.
You get down there just.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, now
you got some white stuff on your face. There you go.
All right. Dre doesn't have that. Did you get it all?
Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good.
He doesn't have any. He's got that little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get facial hair in the next 20 years.
There's some guy
Don't start shaving it, because it never stops.
There's some guy came after me on Facebook about I was bearding it. It's a fair statement. But
I mean, was he wrong? No.
No. But did he
both
need to say it?
on about the same piece there, so
yeah.
I think they're having a race.
Mine's thicker. Mine's thicker.
The beard game is not coming in.
Dude, I can make a gnarly new.
You know, he says now that he's married, we'll see if he can grow one. I don't think he can.
No, I was going to grow a mustache.
Stash.
I can grow a mustache.
Look like a typical firefighter.
Yeah.
Or not be allowed. I'm gonna stop right there. We all know where that's going.
Yeah. No, I know exactly where that's going.
Dre's came a long ways on the podcast because he used to that would have blurted out and not even thought about it.
Oh man,
True.
So-
That's true.
Yeah,
Less editing for the crew.
Yeah.
you're welcome, kid.
Yeah.
They just stopped.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
right.
just,
Much,
he just
yeah.
stopped.
I can
But-
only imagine.
All right. Towards the end of the podcast, I mean, we could sit here and talk for hours. And
Absolutely.
we definitely didn't jump into a whole lot of stories and stuff. So we might have to try to figure out, like, I've been prying Boyan's arm to come on the podcast for a while. So maybe
do
one of
it.
these days we'll pry his
do it.
arm and get him
Hey,
on
if
here.
you can do it, I'll give you $100.
He's just scared of the cameras.
Yeah. Can we hide the cameras in here? Sit here and drink with them and then hidden cameras.
I think that's illegal.
No.
Unless you have a little sticker in here somewhere that just says you're being recorded.
Did you
I
ever
haven't
watch
looked at
Punk'd?
laws. I haven't looked at laws.
Punk'd? They used to do that in Punk'd.
I mean, I don't think Boyan's really gonna
I don't
go
think
after
so.
anybody.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming after us. But
we got to get him on here.
we should. We need to. But if you could go back, final question of the podcast, you go back to your 21-year-old self,
Yourself.
yourself. You give yourself one word of advice moving forward for the rest of life. What is it?
I wish I would have invested more wisely. Work ethic wasn't a problem. I worked. I just wish I'd have done different things with what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because I was set to retire at 40. And then big houses, big boats.
I think money becomes very easy to spend on objects.
Right.
And it's something that
Right.
I will say that's something that learned from our dad also, that we are positioning money a lot differently,
Sure.
that we're in a position we could have the boats, we could have
Sure.
a lot of the stuff. And does that bring happiness? 100%. And my dad will say he'll go back and do it all 100% the same.
Sure.
Because Dre and I got to grow up, and he's like, I built you to the men you are today. And he goes, and I got to spend your whole entire childhood with you guys.
He also
And that's what's cool.
So he
You
goes,
guys had that.
Yeah.
I didn't have a father, didn't have none of that. So I just went to work. I mean, just tore it up.
so he is going to say that he would do it the same way, but it's like, I look at as how to position our money a little bit differently to make it to where investing it the right way, using it and playing that long game can
Right.
make a big difference.
Well, and when you guys are 40 years old, you won't have to,
Yeah.
or shouldn't have to do much.
But
He also told us, he's like, I want to show you what money can get you. And then he's like, it's up to you whether you go backwards or forwards.
Yeah, it's up to you what you do with it.
Yeah. And he's like, I'll build you into what you need to do to get to this step. And then he's like, after that, he's like, it's up to you. If you want to go travel, do whatever,
Right.
go do it, whatever. Or he's like, if you want to go actually work, put the time in and get to.
where's this go travel thing at? Like, I wasn't given that opportunity like you.
I basically just go travel and you have no money.
Yeah.
I
How
was
are you
gonna
gonna
say
travel?
be a hippie, but
Yeah,
I didn't
I don't know
Right.
I don't know where you're going with that,
No,
because
right.
there's a
No,
lot of
it's-
people that thought that, like, we had,
Especially like go up or go down.
yeah, he showed us a standard,
Right.
and it was like a lot of people.
That's what I was getting at.
A lot of people thought that we had like money given to us, things like that. Like when I bought my house, I had people all over Kearney
And it doesn't
post
even matter.
on their Facebook that Dad bought my house for me.
He bought
Let them
yours.
think whatever
Yeah.
they want.
Can
Yeah.
you buy mine?
Yeah, for real. But it's just like, it was one of those things that was like sad to watch. And this is from like adults that were in their 40s or 50s. They're
Targeting
posting shit,
someone in their 20s.
targeting me at 21 years old because I bought a house.
So that happened. The house that she was conceived in, over up North Oak.
I like that conceived.
I was being politically correct.
Further day.
I didn't want to be like you on previous podcasts.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you watched.
I would literally have cars lined up. This is obviously before she was born.
Conceived.
And this lady next door, my next door neighbor, would come out and say, "Hey, I'll buy some whatever you're selling." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
You get a dime sack with the tint.
Right. I said, "Do you not see all these cars?" Well, yeah. I'm in my garage till 4 and 5 in the morning tinting windows. I'm not selling drugs. But I was always told that my whole life.
I think you missed out on a good side hustle.
I
Yeah.
did.
I think there's a
My
lot.
sister took care of all that.
I think there's a lot bigger profit margins on drug
Allegedly.
sales than
Right.
tinting.
Right. But I was
But-
always accused of that.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, I still think when we pull up here, I think
Down
there's.
there.
Well, I think
Looks like a
about.
drug deal
I think
gone
about
bad.
10 cars all lined up, all blacked with blacked out tint. Everyone's like,
What's
wonder
happening?
what's happening there.
Now I can't have a black vehicle.
I know. or you
You'd
can.
be trying to stick a.
Can we trademark that?
Yeah.
Can we trademark blacked out vehicles?
Yeah. We're just going to start gold crowning everyone that has
Right,
a black vehicle.
right.
They're going to Target and come out with a gold crown on the back.
You know what? Some people wouldn't say a word. Other people try to see your brains out.
Probably.
That's
I
the
bet it
world.
wasn't
That's
us,
the
dude.
world.
Yeah. Wasn't us different people with MMG and a gold crown.
Right.
It's an engineering place.
Architectural firm.
Right.
No, very, very much enjoy having you on the podcast.
Enjoyed being here.
A lot of great insight. Killed it for your first podcast. I think he was lying to us. I think he's been on another one.
Nope, never have. Never taken that time to sit around.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
It's
it.
actually
though.
the first
I
time we
enjoyed it.
sat for an hour.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We talked for an hour before it started,
Right.
and we told you it was literally going to be just the exact same thing, pretty much.
And it was.
So,
So
very much
cutting what we said
enjoyed you being on here. Very much enjoy you helping us out. Did some killer work at the office today.
Appreciate it.
So I'll send pictures of everyone in my office today. Now it's all blacked out. So if you need any residential tent work, commercial tent work, auto tent work, anything like that, we're going to put all your links below.
Appreciate it.
But once again, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right. That's M3 Podcast. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.